in one place. So if we're talking about that, so how could building like ecosystems help companies innovate better?
Mhm. Well, I mean, in general, I think organizations need to understand that part of the transition, part of this nexus we are living, is a nexus between the age of the vertically integrated organization, the managerial organization, into what we call the post-industrial organizing. There is essentially a switch between a shift in power from the center to the edge, from the company to the customers, to the users, and in general from the traditional organization into the ecosystem. So if you suddenly change your perspective and you understand that innovation doesn't come from inside, but it comes from the outside, what you need to build is essentially an organization that captures consumption patterns, captures innovation trends, and enables them, and within time institutionalize these innovations so that the ecosystem can create more value at higher value chain layers. So the organization becomes much more defined in an outside-in way than in the traditional inside-out way. And to do this, our experience with platform design and the EEO, so the Entrepreneurial Ecosystem Enabling Organization, that is another framework we are now building from the collaboration we're having with Hire and other organizations. It tells us that essentially we are entering an age of micro-entrepreneurial units. So lots of the value that we produce in the economy of today is contextual. So it's in the small teams that can really become create these deep connection with their audiences. For example, when we talk about knowledge work, or even about how we create a small scale organizations that can connect with their community of users locally or around a certain product. So this is why it's very important for organizations at the moment to understand that becoming a platform is not just creating a different business model, but is resetting all the processes that they are running from the outside in. And this includes production, but also includes strategy, and also includes vision, and also includes purpose, and also includes basically all the pillars across which you run your organization. And really to do so, it takes a lot of I would say a radical approach, because if I talk about, for example, what Dave Snowden changed it with me on our podcast recently, it was very clear when he said we need to move away from external scaffolding, so an exoskeleton, if you want, of your organization that can constrain the growth, it can constrain the movement, into what he calls an internal skeleton, an endoskeleton, if you want, so an internal scaffolding. So once you have an internal scaffolding that is mainly made of constraints, for example, about the rules you need to use to create a new unit, or the way you interact with other micro units in your organization, then you can grow and adapt to whatever is emerging from the ecosystem. Instead, if you have this very strong centralized idea of, an editorial idea of what your organization is, what your products are, you're not open to these insights coming from outside. You tend to protect, let's say, your vision as the center, as the core of the organization, and this creates all sorts of frictions and fragilities in your organization that at some point tend to break up. There is this fantastic blog that is now hard to find online for some reasons, I don't know why, but where Shirky said that Clay Shirky said that the last sign of having a too complex organization essentially is collapse, is failure. So you just tend to collapse at some point because your organization doesn't fit with the needs and the elasticity that you need to have to deal with the modern world.
Yeah. So it's like there is this metaphor. If there is strong wind, you could either be a tree or a grass. And if you're a grass and you know how to go with the wind, although that you're softer and maybe even more fragile, you will sustain yourself. And if you're very strict and you have these rules and this is what I am, I'm not something else, and I'm not open to anything outside, I will not be able to really hold this winds of change actually that are currently happening all over the world. Much more right now with COVID for